Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
I haven't done that for a while, have I, Tom?
No, you did it yesterday.
No, doing the gyrations while we're doing the intro.
Oh, you mean that only I can see? That others
I like to see if I can get you flustered or get you laughing, but didn't work today.
How's that working out for you?
Not so well. Hey, Tom, how are you? It's Wednesday. We're still wearing the same clothes as Monday and Tuesday because, yes, folks, we are recording this episode. I'm being a slacker and going off to play some golf in the morning. And because I'm playing golf, we chose to do this.
Why is that?
Before we go any further, Tom, I want to tell people up front so they can't say they didn't hear this before they tune out. If you haven't looked now, you need to go to the RenegadeSuccessNetwork.com page and look at the Find Your Renegade Way in 90 Days program. It is the greatest program you can imagine if you're trying to achieve your goals this year. If you're stuck, if you don't know what to do, if you set that goal back in January or March and said, I'm going to do this incredible thing, and here you are in August going, I'm not going to do this incredible thing, we can help you do the incredible thing. And with that, Tom, so I just wanted to get that out of the way. They can, if they want more information, you can private message us. You can go to the RenegadeSuccessNetwork.com, or you can check out, ask us, whatever. Now, let me get to the important stuff, Tom. I'm taking over.
I see that.
It is National Sons and Daughters Day.
Oh.
Now, I have no sons. I have no daughters, but I still recognize the day. It's an important day. There are many sons and daughters, and I have seen through my friends, through family members, and but with you as well, how much joy you get from your children. And I hope that in some way today you share that with your kids, how much joy they bring you. I know at times they drive you crazy, but when your daughter was performing one night, you were as giddy as a little kid.
Always.
It's just, one of the greatest things to me is to see adults when their kids do something. And boy, when fathers cry when their daughters get married, that's my favorite thing in the whole world. It's just like that is just so exciting to me.
Okay, fair. It is an emotional, touching moment. Here's another thought on that. Aren't you also a son?
Yes, I guess my mother. Yeah, I'll have to reach out to my mother and.
It doesn't say that you have to have them. It just says Sons and Daughters Day, right?
Yes. So I guess I am a son. Yes.
So you can celebrate.
I can celebrate.
But we all can celebrate because we all either have a son or daughter, or we are a son or daughter. That's
there isn't really another option, is there?
Well, I guess there could be. I don't know. Nowadays there's lots of options.
Fair enough.
All right. Sons and daughters.
With that, we're moving forward.
Fair enough. All right, everyone. This is today's Antidote, where we have a conversation around the topic. And through that conversation, we hope to provide some knowledge, experience, and perspective, at least our own, what's real for us, that might impact what's real for you. And at the end, Bob will share his one thing, and I will as well. And our antidotes will hopefully be beneficial to you as you continue along your own unique pathway to success. The other thing we also know is that your comments, thoughts, and ideas go a long way, even though it's recorded. Because not only does it help the show, but it also helps those who are watching the show. So your comments can make a huge difference. And if you have one thing, your antidote for today, please feel free to share that as well, because we know that there are people out there searching for antidotes, and what you share might have an impact on where they're at. And that value will make a difference for who they are, even though you may never know that you had it. impact on their lives. So please feel free to share your comments and your one thing at the end of the show. So now that we've got all of that out of the way and we've celebrated Sons and Daughters Day, let's dive into our topic, which this whole month we've really been talking about reconnecting with relationships or rebuilding or whatever the case might be. And part of it has been around follow-up. We had a whole discussion about that last week. And what that kind of led to was some of the fears that go around follow-up. On Monday, we talked a little bit about what it is. And that discussion sort of led to Bob sharing about his not fear of lack of success, but fear of success. And we talked through that. And because we are recording this, Bob probably doesn't have a lot to share to update on how his next steps are going. And we will wait to see more about that inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, as he has outlaid a plan for how he will take the next step and how he will change that fear of success. What would happen if he got all the business he could ever use, and how that will turn into something that will be a benefit for how many people he will help. So today, we want to take on another one of those fears. And it was something that Bob put a poll up Monday in the Facebook group about, why you don't follow up. And one of the biggest responses was you don't want to annoy your clients or your customers or your donors or your teammates, whatever the case might be.
Prospects.
But it could also be donors. It could be clients, could be customers. You can follow up with them. And again, follow-up isn't just about making a sale. It might be about maintaining or building or strengthening a relationship. So as we talk about being annoying with your call, Bob, how do we overcome that fear? How do we think about that? Or is there a situation you'd like to share where you thought you were being annoying to a client, customer, or?
Well, I always feel like I'm being annoying.
Always? In general, just every minute of every day, you're being annoying?
Essentially, it's been beaten into my head over the years. And it's nice that you tolerate me, Tom, because I know I annoy you from time to time. But being serious, I think every time I've ever sent an email through an email list to 50, 100, 500 people, 3,000 people, I fear that I've annoyed someone. Oh, they've got one more email in their email box. They don't want to hear from me. They don't want to hear from us. When I call people, I often have that feeling in my head, like I have to really convince myself before I make the call that I can't sound like, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you're really busy. This probably isn't a good time. And those are all the mind games. That's me devaluing myself. But to the person who needs what I have to offer, if I call at the right time, I could be the solution to their problem. I could make them get the first good night's sleep in days, weeks, months, maybe even years. And so I try in my head to combat the fear of being an annoyance with the thought of, what if I actually help a person who is in real pain here?
Certainly. Well, you don't know, right? We don't
Right.
know what's real for them at the moment. And how could we, unless we had the opportunity for them to tell us? Now, if somebody told us that, hey, you know what, I'm going to be really busy, don't call me this weekend, we call, well, now we are probably being an annoyance. So I think the only way we can ever discover where people are at is we actually reach out to them. That was one of the questions when the pandemic hit. I was doing some work with the Maryland nonprofits, because I do a lot of work with nonprofits, a little bit of my background. And one of the biggest challenges that nonprofits faced at the time was not knowing how to speak to their donors or what to say, or we don't want to call because they might not be doing well and they might be out of a job and I was like, well, how do you know that? And I said, the biggest challenge is, I don't think you're ever annoying if you're calling to find out how someone is doing, someone that you have some connection with. And so they're like, well, we don't know what to say. Well, I said, well, ask them how they're doing. If you don't know, ask and see what they share, because they will tell you a lot in their response. And they might be like, it's not really a good time. Things have been tough. And I understand that completely. We were just calling to check in to see how our customers, clients, donors, how our teammates were doing. That's one of the things that as a leader was a great thing to do during this pandemic is just call and say, how are things going? Not like, how are you doing on this project? Or is there anything I can help? Just like, what's going on? How can I better understand? Has nothing to do with them and their job. Has a lot to do with how are you seen as a leader in helping them wherever they may be. And I think back,
and also understanding them, right?
Of course. And knowing
because when someone shares with you what's really going on, that deepens the know, like, and trust aspect. And it also creates that camaraderie between people. If you tell me something about, hey, Bob, I'm having a really hard time with my daughter today. The fact that you share that with me makes it seem like makes us closer.
And maybe I was dying to talk to somebody about it and had nobody to talk to.
And for the record, there's no problem that I know of with Tom's daughter, just so we're clear.
Except that she wants me to come up and visit her more in Connecticut. But
oh, gee.
I know.
Wow. And cherish that while you can.
Absolutely. Correct. And it's interesting, I think that one of the things I said to a lot of the nonprofit leaders that I was speaking with at the time was, people may surprise you. You may call and they'd be like, yeah, you know what? It's hard, but things are going okay. And actually what we found is, we really enjoyed this thing that you've done online, or, we've enjoyed the family time together where it was quiet, or, you know what? Yeah, things have been hard because I've got my kids. I'm trying to balance all of that. Now, at least we have more information that can help us move forward on whatever the next step is in our follow-up. It may help us determine that we can follow up more. We could actually ask about a sale, ask about a project sooner because people are in a better space, or we need to put it off because they're not in a better space. But at least we have further clarity on what was happening. One of the things, as I was thinking about this topic in the short time between when we recorded the last one and we recorded this one, I was thinking a lot about back when I was doing fundraising for an institution, and part of my role was to travel and meet with people. And there was always a group of people who I tried to get in to see that I could never meet with. And I started thinking back on what were the messages I was sending. And for a few of them, especially because I was in upstate New York and many of them were in New York City, my message was always like, hey, I'm going to be down in New York this week. Do you have time to meet? And sometimes I get a response and sometimes I didn't. But the more I thought about it is the response was always about the meeting. Right. Not about how are they doing? What's going on? Can I share some information about what's happening here? Where you would build up that relationship, not just feel like the only way we were going to create a relationship was if we met in person. And while I know that that has significant value, I also know that there are ways to generate those create those relationships in other ways, that we could bring them closer to the organization just by sharing of different information. And as I think back on it, I start to think about what my messages could have been that might have been more effective, because again, my title was Director of Development. So it wasn't too hard to figure out. My ultimate job was trying to generate revenue to support the institution. And so there were people who would clearly see that and be like, yeah, that's not, I know he's going to come and ask me for money. It's not really the conversation I want to have right now. But I never got to that point because I didn't dig deep enough into the way that I followed up. And so, yeah, they probably saw me as yep, there's that guy again. He keeps sending me an email. All he wants to do is meet. I'm sure he just wants to ask me for money. And I think that that's something that we should consider is what are the messages that we are sending to people? And I have a feeling that based on that is whether we're more of an annoyance or not.
I'll give you a great example, Tom. I went to a university in Washington, the American University, for grad school, and I was talking to someone in the development office, and she asked me about my experience at the school, and I told her, and I was in a new program. It was the first time they ran the program, and I talked about the guy who led it and really said, this guy changed a lot about me, and really, I just valued his time. If the whole program had just been the time I shared with him, it would have been worth every dollar. She did her usual, if you'd like to donate, blah, blah, blah. 2 years later, I get an email from her. Hey, just wanted to let you know, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but I thought you'd want to know. The guy that you were speaking so highly of just died. Because she shared that with me, I was able to send a card to his wife the week he died versus, 3 years later when I finally found out. And
Right.
you think of that as being, well, big deal. But the fact that this person wrote down the note and made the connection and took the action, it really changed my whole perspective about that school and about their development office. It wasn't just about getting money. It was about, this is valuable information that this guy wants. And there was no pitch that day. It wasn't, oh, by the way, he died and we'd like your money.
Right.
It was, we're really sorry he died, and if you'd like more information, I can share it with you. And she was able to give me the address of his wife, the whole bit. That's way beyond what a typical development person does, but it made a huge impression on me. And it showed me something about that school that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. The other thing, Tom, while you were talking, it occurred to me that if we think we're being an annoyance, that's making the whole situation about us.
Correct.
And I'm going to go out on a limb right now and tell you 99.9% of the world doesn't give a damn about me right now. And probably not ever. Most of us are in it for ourselves. So where we think someone's totally fixated on the email, or you didn't send your weekly email at 9 a.m., I got to tell you, I'm not losing sleep. If you didn't send me the email at 9 a.m., Tom, if it didn't go till 9:30, or you forgot it for a week, I don't think my whole life is coming to a crashing halt. We're not doing breaking news. We're not doing huge things here. And I think sometimes that whole idea of being annoying, it's just in our heads that we're so important to these people. And I mean, there are times when you and I can barely keep track of what each other are doing, and we have a pretty close relationship.
Yes.
But think about that if we don't know people closely.
Sure. Well,
I haven't called him for 3 months. He's probably wondering what happened. No, he's not. He doesn't care. He's doing his other stuff.
Well, they might. It's possible. We don't know that.
But less likely.
Correct.
I mean, not like, oh, I didn't call him. I was supposed to call him 4 weeks ago, and it's 4 weeks later. I can't call him. He'll think I'm an idiot. No one's keeping track. You told me you call me in a month. It's exactly 58 days. You're 28 days too late.
Some people may remember that. Well, here's the thing. If they were desperate for what you had to offer, one, they would have noticed. Two, they might have even called you and say, hey, you know what? I know you were going to reach out, and I just thought I was thinking about it, and I really needed your help. So I thought I would reach out. But I think you're right. I think that we place way more importance or way more belief on how much outreach we do. It's funny. We used to send a lot of marketing messages at the different organizations that I was at and different businesses that I've been involved with. And, so often we thought we were overwhelming people. And half the time people didn't even remember half of the messages we sent or what was in the message, or, I think because, as you said, they are so busy with all the other things going on and all the other messages that they are being.
You with me, Tom? You froze. You there?
I am here.
Okay, you froze on me. Am I frozen on you?
No.
Now I'm going to keep going. So I think what Tom was trying to say was the whole idea that sometimes we magnify our importance in people's eyes, and that's just another one of these mind games that we play with ourselves to avoid the possibility of maybe getting rejected. You with me, Tom?
Nope. Going.
Keep going? All right, I'll keep going. So as we wrap up, I'm going to wrap things up because now I'm in full control, and I'm going to give you my one thing. And my one thing is that we aren't nearly as important as we think we are in other people's lives. So if you think you're annoying people because you're so important that they are completely fixated on you, you could not be more mistaken. And Tom, I'm going to be really rude because it's raining right now and the water is coming in my window. So bear with me 1 second while I shut a window.
All right, I'm gonna share my one thing. I would agree with what Bob said. I think we are important, but we're likely not. People aren't paying as much attention as we think, and so we could be unbelievably important to someone else, and so that's why the reason we continue to do follow up. And that doesn't mean that they pay attention to absolutely everything that we send them. And so I think that what ends up happening is, as long as we are top of mind with them, that is valuable. And if we're continuing to add value, and I think that might be my one thing, is that as long as you are adding value when you reach out to them, I don't think people ever think you're annoying.
I agree.
They will tell you if you are. And I think a lot of times they'll be like, yeah, I didn't read that email. Excuse me. Which is okay. They don't have to read every message. And they also didn't delete it or ask to be removed from it. So they do see a value in it. They just aren't necessarily paying attention all the time. They start to pay attention to the topic is interesting to them. Something you share matters. So I think the more value you continue to add, the less annoying you will be for people. And I think that's the piece. If you look back at the messages you send, see if they add value. And if they're not adding value, there is a chance that you could be annoying someone because you're just repeating the same thing over and over. Hey, can we meet? I'm going to be in the city. I'd love to meet. That could be annoying. Maybe. And there are the opportunity that if you are sharing value, while they may not act upon that value all the time or right away, it is still having an impact on who and what they are and changing what is real for them.
Nice.
Thanks.
You took mine and made it so much better.
No, that's not true. I just
You did.
made it what's real for me.
I'm impressed. You took my feeble idea and turned it into something really big and great.
Now, why are you doing that to yourself?
No, I'm being genuinely sincere. I took a very simple thought and you really expanded it. That's a great thing.
Okay, thank you. Well, don't beat yourself up over it. It was a great idea.
Okay.
I might not have come up with it if you hadn't started it.
Am I being annoying?
Not at all.
Darn. I'll have to try harder.
You're trying to be annoying? Is that the game plan?
Here, I know how it can be annoying. Hey, Tom, why don't you tell us about this private group you got going?
The Ring of Renegades? I would love to tell you about that. If you are not yet a member of the Ring of Renegades, please feel free to join us. It's easy to do. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades. Now, as Bob mentioned, it is private, so you do have to ask to join. And all you have to do when you ask to join is tell us why you're a renegade, and you can become a part of our community, where you'll be able to share some of your thoughts about conversations we had today. Or you can either put it in the comments or share it in the Ring of Renegades, what your antidote for today is about the fear of follow-up and worry that you're being annoying. Because we know that it will add value to the group there. So as long as you're adding value, as we said, please keep doing it. So if you want to join that group, just please join us. I think you'll find lots of value, and you'll be part of a growing community that is helping one another find their next steps along their own unique pathway to success. So with that, we will see you live, I believe, Thursday morning,
Yes.
8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of Today's Antidote. And if you'd like to learn more about the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, here's some further information. So with that, have a great rest of the day. Bob and I are done recording for a little bit. We'll see you Thursday morning. Peace today. I like that. Better than you were shooting a gun on Monday. Now you're at peace.
All right. I'll go with peace. Peace out, man. Carving your own path is tough. You want and need a community to offer you insights and advice, share inspiration, provide support, and save you time and money. But where do you find all that? Here's the easy answer: the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where leaders, entrepreneurs, and business owners identify their next steps. Here's some of what you will find at the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Just go to ringofrenegades.com and join today. find and accomplish those next steps